I spent my rambling years. I paid my sins from the poor traveling days. Oh Lord, please, can't you hear my prayers? So I rode my body up the mountain, to a place where I can sit my rocking chair. I rode my body up the mountain, and I'm never going back again, I swear.
Hey everybody, CommandoSanta here, and welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Valley. So today we are going to be working on more of the frontier land, as I'm probably going to call it. I don't know. Maybe that's like a shameless plug from Disney or something, but because Disney has their frontier land, I think that's right. But so general consensus was mostly frontier style, which would be the best instead of a Wild West theme, which I completely agree with the way this park is turning out. I had a few people a little bit confused, and I guess I should have really explained my version of what I think a frontier, what I think frontier is. To me, frontier is almost, I would say, if you've ever played Banished, that style of housing, almost like pre-colonial, but like just starting like a colony. So wooden buildings and stuff like that. Not explicitly Wild West, where it's like your super generic Wild West town in the middle of a desert, where it's like saloon and all the buildings are like next to each other, like the sheriff and people getting shot in the road and stuff like that. No, nothing like that. Frontier to me is more of exactly like I said, Banished. And for those of you that have not played Banished, I suggest checking it out. It's a really good kind of management building game where you like manage like a colony of people. But yeah, that kind of building structure. If you Google image search Banished buildings, you kind of understand what I'm trying to kind of mean here with that kind of frontier style. So that's pretty much where I am. So I completely agreed. So there's piles of information and reference images out there that I was able to use to try and get myself into the theme of building that kind of style. So we've already kind of started like that. The first building of last episode, that like generic wooden building, that was like a very, very simple version of what we're going to be working on today. And in all honesty, I actually don't like that building at all. And I think you'll probably see me move it several times in this episode. I think I moved it like back and forth like 2 or 3 times. And then now I kind of like threw it off to the side, and I'm probably going to delete it anyway, or at least maybe like improve it somehow, but we'll see. We will see. I don't know how I feel about it, but these other buildings are the best. And wait till you see the building after this. It's my favorite thing I've probably done in this park thus far. But yeah, this building was pretty straightforward. Nothing really too crazy. I modeled this after like the one of the styles of houses in Banished. It was more of just kind of like a simple house with a little outcrop. And the outcrop probably has, I don't know, maybe like maybe that's where like their pantry storage or something, or just kind of something hanging out over there. But I put that as the ATM. I put an ATM over there. And then I also put, I think, Chief Beef in the front. And then there is a side door, which the kind of the workers can enter if they want to enter in the front. And I didn't put a door in the back, but I'm not too worried about it right now. There's a few more detailing left of that, so I can throw it up on the workshop. So for those of you that really like my stuff that I throw up in the workshop, be ready for that. This building over here is probably the highlight of this episode. This one I actually spent a good amount of time in, but this is one of the buildings where I didn't even have to like edit anything, because I didn't stop building this one. It just kind of came to me where it just kind of ran with it and kept going and going and going until it was done. And I'm so happy with this building, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. So my idea for this building was to be like a forge. One of the, blacksmith, like forge and blacksmith. One of the things that I kind of struggle with in this game is making facades that actually can hold, hold actual not buildings, like shops and stuff, like the facade shop fronts. So like it took me a little bit to finally get to the point where I'm still trying to improve my skills in building like nice buildings that actually look well with a shop sticking out the front so people can come up and buy stuff. One of the things I struggle with is that I'm really good at making like buildings that are like super useful and they actually look like a normal building, but the facade shop front is a completely different style of building because you have to build the building to look good, but also be functional in the fact that someone can come up to the front, buy stuff out of the front, and still look good. It's like, it's really hard to explain. To me, it's like a building, but it's a complete separate beast almost. Because you have to think about like, okay, where do you want the people to come up? And then you actually have to like almost theme the front really, really nicely. And then you also have to have some entrances on the side so like the workers can come in and restock and stuff. And it takes a little bit to think about. So that's something I really tried to improve upon my skill in this episode and like this entire like section of the park over here was just kind of like shop fronts and stuff. So the left here is a Tiki Chiki, which I, for some reason, halfway through this episode, forgot that it's a Tiki Chiki, and I thought it was a Mexilente. But I figured hot foods would be really, really good for this, for like a blacksmith, stuff to do with fire and that kind of stuff. So I decided to do, Tiki Chiki, which is like, kebabs and like kind of hot and stuff. And on the other side, I was like, okay, we have a forge. How about brick oven pizzas? So that's kind of what I did over here. It was like I did the pizza pen, which is my kind of, it's great. It's probably do like personal pizzas. They probably have like a brick oven in the back, I would say, and they just sling pizzas all day. Now, my original idea for this was going to be these two buildings almost, and then the center in the middle were going to be an actual like sit down dining area where like you get your food or you get your food from across the way and you come over here, you sit down and you eat with like your family. There'll be a few tables set up and it'll be really nicely themed and it looks really cool. Well, it didn't end up like that. We're almost getting to that point, but I guess I'll just start talking about it now. When I got there, I started theming the area and I actually started making like a forging area. So I had the actual forge, I put an anvil down, and I started really theming the area very nicely, kind of cool. And I figured, have some tables and everything, and then you can sit down and eat your food, and it's like really themed, and like, wow, this is really cool. I feel like I'm at like a blacksmith shop. But once I got to that point, I took one look at him, like, this looks like a stage. And right then and there, I all of a sudden just kind of like went back to like one of my recent trips, which was to Corning, which is a place in New York State, and they have this Corning Museum of Glass. And one of my favorite things is when you're in this museum, you get to like they have these different little workshop areas where you sit down and you watch someone either like make glass or like blow different glass and like actually hands-on like watching people do this stuff. So I thought, why not have someone, have like a little show where you can come in and you can sit down in like these really rickety chairs and stuff, and you can watch someone actually forge something. And that'd be really cool, because that'd be like, I kind of want this area to be more of like something a little bit more tailored to children. And it would really like teach them to like really get into hands-on stuff, and like maybe after the guy finishes forging something and I don't know whatever he can make, maybe he makes a nail or I don't know, and he like gives it out to the children, and then they would like love it. I don't know. Or there'd be like a shop nearby that would actually sell the stuff they do. I mean, they're probably not going to make anything sharp and pointy, but maybe they make like maybe they make horseshoes. They can make horseshoes. And I don't know. I thought that was going to be like an actually really cool idea, because like kids love that crap. Kids love like watching people do stuff, and it'd be a great like, I don't know, something to kind of like pause and do for a little bit. Now, if I had this idea when I first started building this building, I probably would have given myself a little bit more space, but after the fact, hindsight is 20/20. I didn't really have a lot of room to work with. So I would expect that these shows happen more often, very frequent shows, because I think there's maybe only seating for like a handful of people. And if this becomes high volume, it would be kind of annoying. And then it's kind of hidden in the back a little bit as well. So I figured this would be a more frequent thing. Or maybe it's there, some guy is getting paid to always sit there and forge something. And he's making like horseshoes and swords and stuff that would, you know, stuff that like kids are really into. And they're just always doing it. People can come up and sit there and watch, and maybe there'll be like some people like standing, walking around and commentating, talking about different things like, hey, he's doing this, here's some techniques for that. You know, stuff, forging stuff's really interesting, and there's like a lot to learn with that, you know? And that's kind of like one of the things you want as in more of a kiddie area as well. Not just like cool rides and stuff to have fun, but also for them to learn, and because learning is the best thing. But yeah, this is the point where I decided that it's going to be a show area, because it just screams like a set that, you know, someone can actually is like going to be working here and doing stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed this idea, and looking back at this building, I love it, and I think it's just going to be a great addition to this park, and it just adds so much to it, you know, because I figured Frontierland or Frontier World, or whatever we're going to call this area. You have people coming here, and they're going to learn all about the olden times and stuff like that, on top of having fun in like a really, really cool themed area. Because you can come here, you can ride all the rides, you can do whatever you want, you can walk around, or you can come here and you can actually engage with like all these different shows and stuff, which would be really cool. And that's something I kind of want to add. I want to add a little bit more shows and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this building. Yeah, right now I'm just adding those seating I was talking about, and I didn't really have enough room, so it's a little close, it's a little tight, but at the same time it'd probably be really exciting. Because once the guy gets going, you can probably feel the heat coming off the forge, which would be really, really cool. Now, if this was in kiddie area, I would probably put the ride, the forge, in the background, but that's one thing I'm actually struggling with myself with this part of the park, is finding rides that actually belong in like a kiddie area and actually fit in here, because some of these rides are actually super huge, and my scale I have for like my buildings that I build, I feel are a little bit smaller than they should be. I mean, at least what they think they should be. I'm having a lot of trouble just like finding rides that actually fit, that actually like look okay on like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I mean, this is the Coriolis, and then I have the other ride that I always forget the name for, and it's just really tough because a lot of the rides that Frontier gave us, the flat rides, they're just ginormous. They're huge, and they're really hard to fit in these little areas. So, but yeah, this is the Coriolis. I added this, and I really wanted to add this over here, but I couldn't find a place to put it, so I finally put it over here. And I think it fits really well, because it'll get people to actually come into this little area, depending where you're coming from. If you're coming from by the Genesee coaster, you will see this ride and you're going to walk right over and you're going to get on. And then you get in the exit, and the exit pretty much points you into the direction of the Frontier kind of street here. And yeah, that's pretty much my idea for that. The queue was pretty simple. I didn't want to do like an explicit building, but I had the idea of maybe having a building that's being built almost. I mean, it's not the fact that it's being built, it's more themed to look like it's a building or like a shed that's being built. And they just ran the queue in between it, and it kind of looks like someone's actually building this up, like this frontier town is actually in development, or they're adding onto it and stuff. So that was kind of my idea for that, and I think it turned out really, really cool. But yeah, this is pretty much all I got done for this part. I think next episode we're going to be continuing on with this, and then we should be able to finish this area up by next episode. I'm thinking about doing a kiddie coaster, but I'm not sure where I'm going to put it. And right now I'm kind of moving around the Fort Otto we made. And that's kind of turning into like a backdrop for all my screenshots, just because it like blocks a lot of sight lines really nicely. So I've been doing that because I still don't have a spot to put that yet. So we will see. But yeah, next episode we should be able to finish up this area, and I think after that I'm going to do a kind of like another walkthrough style, like my one, I think it was like 22.5 or something, and where we kind of walked through the park and I kind of talked about it, and we just did like a live version, just kind of walk and talk. I think that's going to be it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this episode. Just going to give a heads up, Labor Day weekend I'm not going to be around. I'm going to be on vacation. I will be in Toronto for Fan Expo, so if anyone's there, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next episode. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that like button, and see you around.